Hello, welcome to Access, I'm Nathan. PS4 exclusive Days Gone is out on the 26th of April, and I recently played through the first few hours of the game. I enjoyed it very much, getting around on the drifter bike, discovering what there is to do in the open world, and learning the ins and outs of the stealth-heavy combat. As the game is full of systems and abilities, and we don't want to give away any spoilers, we've put together a list of things that we learnt during our time with the game. Number 1. When the world wasn't on fire and in pieces, Deacon was part of the Mongrel Motorcycle Club. In the opening part of the game, Deacon is still working with Boozer, the sergeant-at-arms from the club, as a freelance bounty hunter. Boozer appears both in mission and as a friendly AI voice over the radio. I encountered 3 different groups of humans while playing. In order of niceness, they were people at Cope's camp. This is a hub area where Deacon can find merchants and mission givers. He's not part of the camp, but he's welcome there, mostly. There are also marauders, regular bad people who are hostile to you and want your stuff and for you to be dead. And then there were Rippers, a full-on, scarred skin and crazy beliefs post-apocalyptic cult who are extremely unkind to Boozer very early on. Number 3, Deacon's bike gets stolen, which makes sense of the whole customization thing, like why doesn't a biker like Deacon have a very cool bike anyway? The answer is that someone stripped it for parts, so conveniently you have to begin with a fresh one and make it not rubbish. Number 4, the survival wheel. This is central to all controls in the game and is a mixture of crafting, weapon selection and item use. It's elegant and makes what could be a fiddly set of actions very easy to engage with. I particularly like the way the segments extend and branch out into further options. For example, explosives will open out into pipe bombs and molotovs. You can craft and use items by pressing different buttons in the same bit of the wheel, and overall it's just very tidy. Speaking of UI, Days Gone's minimap has some cool features too. There's a threat indicator showing you the general direction of nearby enemies, and although you can't see it here, there's also audio and visual indicators to let you know whether you're making any noise and if you can be seen. As I mentioned, there's a pretty heavy emphasis on stealth, not a surprise given the high number of freakers you can find yourself facing if you're not careful, and this is a handy way to keep track. On the subject of stealth, there are bushes handily located around the world which can help you maintain cover, not unlike the similar long grass stealth in Horizon Zero Dawn. You can also throw stones to distract freakers and give you a path to slip by unseen. Number 8, Deacon's crossbow is a great option for stealth. Extra weapons like this are stored at your stash at your safe house. The crossbow can fire various different types of bolts, but it's worth bearing in mind that your bolts are affected by gravity. Number 9, enemies are pretty tough in Days Gone, not necessarily dangerous one-on-one, but difficult to put down, so quick stealth kills are very useful and they can be brutal. Lots of different stabbing animations, from the throat to the top of the skull to rapid-fire prison-style shanking. Number 10, you can pick guns up from fallen enemies and melee weapons as well. Random objects like planks of wood or, more specifically, nasty things like nailed baseball bats. Be careful though, these will degrade fairly quickly once you start breaking people with them. Number 11, there's one weapon that won't break though. Deacon has a boot knife that will never degrade, which is great, but the downside is it's relatively weak. Not so much of a problem if you're up against a single human or freaker. You can slash repeatedly without even getting hurt, and it might take a while, but you'll get there. But if you're managing any kind of crowd, the time factor is going to be an issue, and you'll be thankful of something heavy to get the job done quicker. The moral of the story, always pick up melee weapons when you see them. Number 12, speaking of the knife, Deacon uses it to jimmy open car bonnets to scavenge for parts. The backs of emergency service vehicles often contain health packs and ammo too. It's always worth a look if you have time. Number 13, the parts you scavenge can be used to repair your melee weapons or your bike if it takes damage from being shot at or from you riding like an idiot. You'll also need to regularly top it up with fuel, which you can find in red cans around the world. Number 14, speaking of riding like an idiot, one way not to do that is to line your wheels up parallel to the ground when you're landing the bike. You take less damage this way. And speaking of fuel, both the red cans and larger red barrels that you find around the world can be blown up as an effective way to take out enemies of all kinds. And as the cans can be placed wherever you like, they can be extra handy for dealing with freaker swarms. Number 16, when I was playing, one of the things that I salvaged from an abandoned car, I turned into a suppressor for my pistol, giving me a way to be stealthy and to shoot people at the same time. Number 17, Deacon has binoculars available in the shortcut menu which come in very handy when infiltrating enemy encampments. Looking at enemies through the binoculars and pressing R2 tags them, so you can keep track of everyone and plan accordingly. Number 18, when you tag enemies like this, a small red diamond appears above their head. This also becomes their health gauge when you start fighting them to make them less healthy. It also fills in yellow when that enemy has spotted you. Sounds simple, but it means that tagging enemies gives you a handy insight into who you should be focusing on during combat. Perhaps the best thing about the game's stealth though is that it doesn't feel like everything's gone terrible once you drop out of it. The transition from sneak attacking to all-out guns blazing is smooth. It's easy to switch weapons and start sliding into cover, and the same is true of switching between firing weapons and transitioning to melee attacks, perhaps for a lovely finisher. Number 20, there's a lot going on in the open world. Random events pop up as question marks to be investigated on your minimap, and among other things, I encountered a trap laid by bandits who were playing dead until I got close, freaker nests which have to be burned with molotovs to force the freakers out so you can deal with them, and sniper traps where a marksman pinged me off my bike before his friends closed in to try to finish me off. Number 21, the freaker nests can be found in several areas around the world, and your progress in clearing them is tracked by the game. There's a benefit too, clearing all the nests in certain areas opens up fast travel routes. Number 22, if you're in a real hurry, say you're being chased by a pack of freakers and you're all out of ammo, you can mount your bike quicker by sprinting right up to it and pressing square at the same time. Nice to know the game understands how panicked we're definitely going to get in moments of crisis. Number 23, maybe a solution is not to get off the bike. The game's controls are designed to make it easy to keep riding and even slow right down while aiming at enemies. Those 3 guys who played dead, I rode away from them just fast enough to stay out of reach while trying out these controls and ended up leaving them on the road a few meters apart. Number 24, Deacon sometimes uses his tracking skills for tracking. In the part of the game I played, he used it to trace the footprints of a lone survivor who might be in trouble. Unsurprisingly, she was in trouble. Finally, number 25, there's plenty of wildlife in the game. Even in the short time I played, I saw deer, good, normal deer, and runners, who are infected wolves that are fast enough to give Deacon trouble even when he's on his bike. Ravens in the air can point to the existence of freaker nests, and also, there are definitely bears. And that's our look at 25 things we learned in the first few hours of Days Gone. We're looking forward to showing you more of the game before it's out at the end of April. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more like this, and we'll see you soon.
For the players.